You are Locked On Astros Postcast, part of Locked On Sports Houston on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Anybody have any good jokes that they could say tonight about the Astros game? Because there's not a lot of things that are really good to talk about with it. Because, well, that was absolutely terrible. For the second straight night, the Astros go into Oakland and they lose. And tonight they got kicked around from the jump. It has put an emphasis on a big, fat, massive, glaring need for this baseball team. The world is not ending. I will not do the jump off the cliff tonight. I will not do they're going to lose the division all of a sudden, which good news as we start this show. Mariners lost again tonight, so it doesn't hurt you in the standings, but it's okay to be annoyed with the game. It's okay to be annoyed with the fact that they've lost 3 straight games and the offense has just shriveled up. And more than anything, it's okay to be mad that for another game here tonight in Oakland, the starting pitching has put you behind, and it's hard to get out of those holes when you're in the middle of them. Also isn't helpful when you're having a guy try to score a run in the first inning that he's not very fast. We'll talk about that here in a brief second as well. Tonight's episode of the Locked On Astros Postcast is brought to you by Booking.com. Booking.yeah. The right stay can make you a fan of any city, even your rivals. Check out Booking.com for your stay today. All right, let's go through a lot of it. Jake Bloss, first of all, tonight makes the start for the Astros. And, you know, the Astros rushed him through the minor league system. He was a draft pick last year. The odds of it working out to where he was going to be a consistent great starter this year, a lot like Spencer Arrighetti, who's a lot more seasoned in the minor leagues, they're not great. They're rookie pitchers. You know, it is what it is. In a perfect world, the Astros this season were never going to pitch Jake Bloss at this level. I mean, look, they didn't go into the season. They went into the season thinking at one point they would have an abundance of starting pitching. Because think about it. You had Javier was healthy. You had Urquidy healthy. I'm talking about when you're going into spring training. You had JP France, who was really, really nice last year. You had Verlander back. Blanco was coming in as competition, but he could be a swingman type of guy at that time is what you're thinking. You've got Luis Garcia coming back at some point. You got Hunter Brown still. You have the likes in the minor leagues of Spencer Arrighetti, who they're high on. Like, they thought at some point they were going to have too much starting pitching. And then this is what happens. This is sports, right? This is Major League Baseball. You're going to have arms just basically fall off during the season. And there's going to be years where, you know, it's going to absolutely hit the fan. I look at there's another team in the league right now that's going through it. Have you seen what's going on with the Atlanta Braves this season? Every 2 seconds they turn around and somebody else getting hurt. They lose Ozzie Albies the other day. They signed Whit Merrifield. He's in pregame warmups, fielding ground balls and bangs up his finger. Like, it's not just some years it just hits you like the plague, and it's hitting them a little bit this year like the plague. And look, they've had a lot of luck in years past where they basically went out there and, gotten through the entire season healthy for the most part. Sometimes it's just not in your favor. So that's really the big picture of things. Jake Bloss, there was never going to be a world where Jake Bloss was pitching for this team this year. And in a week, right? 7 days, 6 days, 7 days, he might not pitch for the big league club again if they go out there and they make trades, which we're going to talk about that in a minute. They need a starting pitcher. They need at least one. Can they afford to get one? Should they go out and get one? I don't know that there's a perfect answer to any of those questions right now. What I do know is that for 3 straight games right now, the offense is MIA. And, I know that it's Oakland, and Oakland's been a team that the Astros have feasted on since they stopped contending in the AL. Even when they were contending in the AL West, the Astros did a really good job always beating them. But this team, Oakland at the moment, I will give them this credit. I mean, they're hitting the cover off the baseball. They're 11-6 in the month of July, which I'm going to go ahead and guess is one of the better records in the entire sport in the month. They're hot. Bad teams can get hot and beat anybody. It's baseball. We talked about that last night. Baseball will do baseball sometimes, and you can run into any team at any given point, and they can just kick your butt for 2-3 days in a row, whatever it might be. But when the odds are as high as they are, or the stakes, I should say, are as high as they are for the Astros, given where they're at, given the fact that they've lucked into the fact that the division this year has been mediocre at best. It's got the Astros and the Mariners at the top right now. The Rangers, don't come at me with the Rangers stuff. They're playing the White Sox. Like, chill out. They're going to play good teams again, and they're going to probably start losing again. They're 3.5 games out. And then you got 2 bad teams down there in Oakland and the Angels. But go Angels, go. Again, they helped the Astros tonight. But they've lucked into that. They got super hot. They started to figure it out. But you see where the margins for this team are slimmer than any Astros team in years past because of the injury situation. Because they're missing, and they've been missing since June the 3rd or whatever it is, Kyle Tucker. Because they're missing all that starting pitching. Because they've leaked some oil out of that bullpen as well throughout the year. This is not a perfect Astros team. We've talked about that a lot. I sat here earlier this year a lot and said, if they got to the trade deadline and they could ship off some pieces to help the farm system, I'd do it. Circumstances have obviously changed now. They've changed at the point where, you look at the landscape of the American League and you're thinking, okay, I can still contend here of going back to the American League Championship Series for an 8th consecutive year. It's nothing against these other teams. Like, Cleveland doesn't strike any fear in me. Do they strike fear in you? No. Baltimore, yeah, but they're still young. Sometimes young teams screw up. I think the Yankees are going to be super active at the deadline. But have you looked at how they've played over the last, month and a half? Fallen off the face of the earth, basically. They've lost, I think they're 12 games under 500, 13 games under 500 in the last month and a half. They still have a great record, but yeah. The American League doesn't have a bunch of world beaters in it. The American League, to steal the lingo from the kids today, the American League right now is mid. That's what it is. And that's why you're going to battle this back and forth, and I'm going to be very interested to see what they do at the trade deadline here, because it's very obvious. You watch a game like tonight against an Oakland team that you still feel like you should beat on paper, even if they're red hot. And, there are things that you clearly need to fix. Are you willing to go in on all that? One more game tomorrow in Oakland, by the way. Day game for that one. 2:40 start time? 2:37. What a dumb start time. Last game in that dump that is the Coliseum. I'm sure that the players are very happy. Even though they're going to have to go play at a AAA ballpark for the next couple of years, I'm sure they're very happy to not have to play in that dump, which apparently I didn't know this. I've talked to Blum quite a bit. I didn't know that they have a possum problem in the booth there. Heard them talking about that on the broadcast, and I was like, oh, well, that's interesting. Let's talk about the trade deadline now and the glaring obvious need based off of tonight, last two nights, Arrighetti and Bloss pitching at the Astros need starting pitching. We'll talk about that next year in the Locked On Astros Postcast. Summer travel is heating up, and this episode of the Locked On Astros Postcast is brought to you by Booking.com, Booking.yeah. And when the summer travel heats up, that means you're hitting the road, or the skies, of course, to go follow your favorite baseball teams across this great country. You could head out to Oakland. You want to go catch the day game tomorrow? Get an early flight? Go on. Booking.com. They're going to hook you up, get you taken care of there. The Astros have plenty of opportunities in this second half for you to go out and explore new cities. I've been able to explore new cities throughout my years of covering the team, and we would use Booking.com to book a lot of our travel. You can get in on that today as well. The right stay can make you a fan of any U.S. city, even your rivals. Book today on Booking.com or on the site or the Booking.com app. One more message before we get to our trade deadline discussion for this baseball team. The Astros, of course, well, they're playing baseball right now, but overall, sports might not be sporting exactly how you want to go ahead and have them sport, which is, it stinks, but there's something for everyone all summer long at FanDuel. FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a boost or a bonus daily. That's right. There's something for everyone every day, all summer long. So head over to FanDuel.com and start making the most of your summer. FanDuel, official sports betting partner of Major League Baseball. Locked On Astros Postcast. Not too late on a Tuesday night. Appreciate you guys staying up. I'm going to hit the sheets as soon as we get done with this because your boy is tired, and I'm tired of watching the Astros lose in Oakland as well. If you're new to the channel tonight, by the way, please hit that subscribe button. I would greatly appreciate it. I think we're on our climb. I don't know. I haven't checked our climb as to where we're going. Don't forget, this channel has one goal and one goal in mind: to have the most subscribers in the history of YouTube. And that's only possible thanks to you guys. So please keep hitting the subscribe button because right now we are at we're getting close to 1,400 subscribers. We got a little work to do to have the most in the history of the channel, but I know that you guys can come through in the clutch. I'm ready to watch the Astros not get swept tomorrow. That'd be great. I'm ready to watch them play in an atmosphere again that doesn't have 18 people in it. I don't know how the Oakland A's do it every day, the players that are on that team. I really don't, because and the energy in that building just does not exist at all. The Astros better find it quickly. They need to find it tomorrow. Take the Thursday, the day off to decompress, reset before they head back home for a tough homestand. 3 against the Dodgers, 3 against the Pirates, which, by the way, tonight, let me just do some math off the top of my head. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, good news for the Astros. I need to go pull up their schedule, but looking at the schedule, they might dodge Paul Skeens in that Pirates series, which he actually suffered his first career loss tonight because the Pirates lost 2-1. Skeens guy is a monster. I hope he doesn't pitch in that. I from the standpoint of watching him, sure. I don't want to watch him pitch against the Astros, though, because that would guarantee that they lose that night. They're losing over here to Oakland A's pitching. Guess who they're not going to beat? Paul Skeens. Jake Bloss tonight, though, the biggest issue for the Astros. 4 innings, 5 runs, 6 hits, 5 strikeouts, 1 walk, and allowed 4 home runs. Yikes. I say he's the biggest issue. I mean, the offense scored just 2 runs tonight. That's kind of a big issue as well. I didn't even address it after that first part of the show. God, Alex Bregman is slow. He's really, really slow. And I know why Gary Pettis didn't send him home, on the Jordan ball through the hole there in the first inning that you thought. And, what does the game look like if you get a run there in the first? Does it put Oakland on their heels immediately and they start kicking it around and making mistakes, or, their pitching just goes in the tank, whatever it might be? It's always an interesting exercise to go through, because in baseball, so often we see it. The team that jumps out first goes on and wins the baseball game. And it ended up being Oakland tonight because you can't send Bregman from second, and then you tag him up on a fly ball out there to right field, and he was He had no chance. None. He's slow. For a guy that plays incredible defense and has great range at third base, he is slow. His feet are in cement. He's always been slow. He's never been fast necessarily, but he's just going to get slower by the day because of, he's 30 years old now. That'll be somebody else's issue to deal with when he's not an Astro after this season. But the Astros' need at this deadline is very clear. If they are going in and making trades, which there was a report out of Chicago today that they have scouted Jameson Taillon of the Cubs, and I was trying to find that report from ESPN. I think it was Jesse Rogers up there in Chicago that had it. Eric Fetty of the White Sox, Jameson Taillon of the Chicago Cubs. I think Taillon's a Houston guy too. Not necessarily guys that are going to move the needle for Astros fans that are going to make you freak out by any means. They don't have a lot of room before they hit the second level of luxury tax, which this is uncharted territory for the Astros. They've never been here. This is the most they've ever spent on a roster. And, you could go and look at it and go, it's kind of flawed, but you also got a lot of dead weight, of course, on it because you had let go of the first baseman who was terrible. You got a bunch of money piled into one reliever, then a bunch of money piled into another reliever. So it's not the most perfect, soundly built roster. There's no denying that. If they truly believe, based off their evaluations, that they need to go out there and get a starting pitcher, and that could be the thing that puts them over the top, you got to go do it. Taillon, by the way, 7-4 in 16 starts this year with a 3.10 ERA for the Cubs. And then Fetty is 20 starts in for the White Sox, 7-3 with a 2.98. He played in Korea last year, I believe, and did really well. Came back to the States and got a bunch of money from the White Sox, and he's going to end up having some prospects. I'm still back and forth on it, guys. I really am. I don't know if this team is worthy of going and shedding more prospect capital. Now, do they have great prospects? No. There's a reason why when you look at the ranking systems or the rankings of the systems, now it's all subjective, of course, and it's people that aren't scouting necessarily. I mean, they could have scouting back, but it's people that aren't in the grind of day-to-day player evaluations, developing all those things. There's one thing that we all know that the Astros have done forever is that they've developed the talent very well, and they've gotten a lot out of players that nobody really expected out of. And you would think that trend can continue. There's no reason for them to change what they've done, and it doesn't sound like they've changed what they've done, at least in terms of developing inside the minor league system. So the question becomes, is this team a true World Series contender to where you go make moves? Jeff Passan had the piece today where he kind of looked through all the teams, and he says that the Astros are more inclined to make splash deal, or maybe it was Chandler Rum that had that. It was Chandler Rum. Sorry, I don't want to give Passan credit because he's a total boob. But the Astros, with Chandler saying that Jim Crane is more inclined, based off of the way people talk, is that he's more inclined to go big than go little. That what point is it to go out and get marginal players to go into the luxury tax? You might as well go big. Well, that comes with a huge cost. One, do they have the ability to pay for that anymore? Because last year they sent out Clifford and Gilbert in that trade, which I have not checked up on what those guys have done this year for the Mets minor league system. Gilbert is he must have been hurt. He just got back. He's only played 13 games this year. But to get the top guys, which this is not a trade deadline that is littered with top tier talent rotation wise. I think Crochet for the White Sox might be about as big as it gets. That's out there. So, I'd personally, watching this baseball team, as much fun as it's been to watch them rebound and get back into a spot where they're the division leader, and I think they're going to win the division still, I just don't get the warm and fuzzies. And my eyeballs don't get that way with this baseball team, that they are good enough to go all in on. That you should go out and waste your top talent in your farm system for something for this year. I think you're almost better off standing pat as you are, hoping that you get hot. If you can get a starting pitcher that is not going to cost you an arm and a leg, go and do it. Maybe it is a Tyon, maybe it is a Fetty. Go and do that, and then maybe get another piece for the bullpen. But if you wanted to go out there and play for Crochet or play for whatever big, maybe there's a big starting pitcher out there that we don't even know about as fans. You know, it happens all the time. I think back to 2019. There wasn't a lot kicked around about Zach Greinke at all that year at the deadline. And then there was nothing being kicked around about the Astros going out there and getting Zach Greinke. So if you wanted to go and do something like that, it's just going to cost you a lot. I'd almost rather you wait and see how this season plays out, shed some of your money that's coming off the books in free agency, figure out if you're going to bring back Justin Verlander or not at a very small dollar compared to what he's making now, and then add pieces around what you have. But I don't think that they're going to do that. And I can't blame Jim Crane. I can't blame I'm not trying to be mean here. I don't think Dana Brown's really making the decision. It's all up to Jim Crane making that decision because, look, I fought it when it happened, but he does have Jerry Jones tendencies based off the way that he's running this organization. Just does. Simple as that. So I won't blame him, though, overall, if you want to keep, like they always say, they want to keep the window open. And for this team, they need some help. You're not going to not do anything as a division leader. That's the thing. Like, they're going to do something. The question will be just, how big will it be? I don't think it's going to be big. And I'd be shocked, absolutely shocked, if it's anything massive for this baseball team. What's massive is a win tomorrow. Simple as that. We'll talk about tomorrow's baseball game as we start to wind down that Locked On Astros postcast next. Passion, drive, and patience. The formula for winning championships is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. With eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash, with all the parts you need at the prices you want. It's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit only available to U.S. customers. And one more message before we get back to our Astros discussion and tomorrow's baseball game. Let's talk about PrizePicks, the number one daily fantasy sports app with over 5 million active members. It's as easy as it gets. It's an exciting way to play daily fantasy sports, and it's unlike any other apps. On PrizePicks, it's just you against the numbers. You can win up to 100 times your money on PrizePicks with as little as 4 correct picks. You can turn $100 into $10, into 1,000. You can get in on the excitement of up to 100 times your cash with the summer games on PrizePicks. With PrizePicks, you could turn $10 into 1,000, like I mentioned, while watching Team USA rack up the gold medals this summer. You can make PrizePicks lineup of players across basketball, soccer, tennis, golf, and more in as little as 60 seconds. Just pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections, and you're locked in. Download the PrizePicks app today and use code LOCKEDONMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. That's code LOCKEDONMLB on PrizePicks for a deposit match up to $100. Pick more, pick less. It's that easy. Locked On Astros Postcast here on a Tuesday night. Again, thank you for joining. If you're new to the channel, please keep hitting that subscribe button. Greatly appreciate that. Keep growing this bad boy. And you can come back and we'll talk about good things. Maybe the Astros winning some baseball games. And, of course, this channel won't just be Astros discussion. We've got Texans football coming up, baby. We'll have the Locked On Texans Postcast when those games finish. Hall of Fame game coming up, less than 2 weeks now? We'll do one for that. We'll do it for all the preseason games. Now, look, I know a lot of those games we're not going to talk about a lot of, starters, but we're still going to do it because the starters won't play a lot. But we'll have those shows. We'll have Locked On Rockets Postcast. We'll have Locked On Cougs Postcast as well. Going to be a lot of fun getting into all the other sports as well, like we've been doing with the Astros all season long. Don't worry, the Astros ones aren't going away. The Astros are still going to get a big priority because it's a postseason race. And then once postseason get here, we'll be full go with the Locked On Astros Postcast. Tomorrow's baseball game. I love to always do these tongue-in-cheek, but it truly is this tomorrow. They have to win tomorrow, period. Tomorrow's a must-win. Hunter Brown up against J.P. Sears. The pitching matchup very much favors the Astros in this one. They cannot go out there tomorrow and have another outing like they've had the last two. The offense cannot continue to play the way that it is played. You go back to Sunday. They have scored 4, 0, and 2. 4 would usually get it done most nights, or would be good enough to get it done most nights, but the pitching just wasn't good enough in that one. They have to win tomorrow's baseball game. No better guy to have on the mound than Hunter Brown, of course, based off the way that he's performed as of late for this baseball team and how he's become basically the staff ace in the last couple of months. So they need him. They need him in the worst way to come out there, give you 6-7, shutout, 1 run, and the offense goes out there and gives them like an 8 spot, whatever it might be. Don't forget, again, to join us after the baseball game tomorrow. The Locked On Astros Postcast will be live as soon as the game ends right here on this channel, which, again, you can hit the subscribe button for. You'll get the notifications when we're going to go live or when the videos are set. And, again, as soon as the game ends, we are right here on this channel. Enjoy the rest of your Tuesday night. Talk to y'all tomorrow evening, after the Astros and the A's, right here on the Locked On Astros Postcast.